In today's eMoney tip of the week, I'm going to walk you through our base plan that we build for every client. Now, every client has unique circumstances and unique goals, so each person gets a customized financial plan. But we start out with every single client going through the base plan. So every single client is going to get a premature death situation, an asset allocation change, an irregular market, which is eMoney's way of saying a major downturn in the markets, and increased expenses, which is another way of looking at inflation and looking if they got expenses incorrect. We do those 4 steps for every single client on our team. Now, in addition to that, for our clients that aren't retired, we look at if they saved more towards one of their goals, they retired at different ages, they took Social Security at different ages, debt payment strategies, and then based upon clients' needs, typically if they're under the age of 50, we're going to show a disability. If they're above the age of 50, we're going to show long-term care. We might show them buying and selling a house, whether they want to buy a second house or downsize or increase the size of their house. They might turn on annuity income if they have annuities. They might look at what's their human life value, see if they have enough life insurance. We might look at needs analysis for that. We also might look at education goals, Roth versus traditional. There are a lot of different scenarios we'll look at. Small business owners, what if they sold their business? What if something happened to them with their business? But these 4, premature death, asset allocation, irregular market, and increased expenses, we do for everyone. So my goal today is to show you how we do that for a client and show you how, and this video is going to be a little bit longer than this, but if you weren't going through step by step, you can do this in about 2 to 3 minutes, very simply for each and every client. So we also assume that you've already put together the client. So if you've seen any of my other eMoney tip of the weeks, we're going to use our favorite sample client, Pam and Jim Helpert here. And so what we're going to do is we're going to click right into plans because, again, we assume you've already input all the data for this client. We're going to start out with scenario. Typically at this point in time, there would be no scenarios here. We're going to hit add. This is a sample client, so I have other scenarios. If you see my other eMoney tip of the weeks, and you'll know that I can't spell if you've seen the other ones, I like to use alternatives. We already have an alternatives built out for the sample client, so I'm going to put alternative ones. We always use alternatives on our team to go out and build out the plan, and then we can copy and paste that, which will come into play here. So the first thing I want to do is, by the way, you see these green, blue, and red. Green means add, blue means change, red means remove. That stays the same throughout all of eMoney. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to add new, and we're going to go to reinvestment. This is how we show an asset allocation change. It's a little bit strange. I don't know why eMoney's named it reinvestment, but that's what they've named it. So we're going to put in here, make recommended allocation changes. And you can see here, again, I can't type very well. You could also, a lot of times you saw it pre-populated from my Google Chrome. We'll say make your portfolio more conservative, make your portfolio more aggressive, depending on what we're trying to do. We typically always show this in the current year, but you can show it in a different year. We always put apply taxes because if clients are going to make changes, taxes are going to be involved. We're not going to show any transaction expenses in our base plan. Again, this could be for certain clients we want to show that. We're not going to show any fees on here as well either. The initial allocation, we're going to use our model portfolios. So we've built out our own model portfolios. These can be different based upon your capital assumptions. We're going to use a balanced here. And then what we're going to next do is pick what assets. Now, keep in mind, a lot of times we'll only show this with IRA assets. If somebody's working, they have a non-qualified portfolio, they're in a higher tax bracket, we're probably not going to want to show this. But sometimes we'll show it in the base plan, and then when we get to more details of how to implement a strategy, we might go into more detail about it if this makes sense to take the capital gains. For this one, we're going to hit all assets, but just to know, you can pick out an individual asset down here, or you can pick out, say, retirement assets. So we're going to click all assets, and we're going to hit add asset here. Now what you're going to see is it's going to show you side by side with where the current allocation is and the recommended allocation. You can hit save here and it'll stay in, or you can hit done and it'll automatically save and go to the next screen. So now that we have that, next thing we want to show is an irregular market. So we're going to go to make changes, and then when you go down to change, we're going to go to assumptions. So again, make changes and go to assumptions. Then we're going to click down here and we're going to go to inflation and market. So make changes, assumption, and under assumptions, inflation, market. We're going to go to edit fact. You're going to see right here you can put inflation increasing. We're not going to do that for right now. We're going to go ahead and we're going to change this. We're going to go to calendar year, or excuse me, not calendar year. We're going to go to Pam, who's our main client here. So it's Pam and Jim Helpert. We're going to go to her retirement age. We always love to show it the year of retirement because if you look at the effects of taking withdrawals from your accounts and negative markets, The first year that you start withdrawing, aka retirement, that's usually the most painful year to have a market downturn. That's what most people are concerned about. Duration, we're going to choose 1 year, and we're going to do a negative 20% here. So we're not going to worry so much about the inflation. We're just going to, because that's already going to be impacted in our expenses. We really want to see this negative market downturn. Now you might be saying, Greg, why negative 20%? This is a market-based portfolio. Shouldn't it be more? And you have to understand that this is Monte Carlo, and we're going to be showing this in Monte Carlo. So there's already a bunch of negative years based upon the arithmetic mean and the standard deviation of those particular investments, and based upon the capital market assumptions you're using. It's already going to show major downturns. We want to show the worst case scenario. So what this is going to show, now you're negative 20 across all the accounts, and then it will Monte Carlo. It's going to be Monte Carloing before that. It's going to be doing that afterwards. So you might have a negative 20, and next year could be negative 30 based upon your standard deviation, the means that you picked. So it's really, really important to understand how Monte Carlo works in here and understand the impact of this. I know a lot of advisors say, well, the market was down 35%, it was down 40% one particular year. We want to show that. We're still showing that if you understand how Monte Carlo works. If you don't understand this, you can always run a Monte Carlo report and see the impact of turning these things on. So the next thing we want to do is we want to increase the expenses. So we're going to go to make changes here, and we're going to go to expenses. We're going to click on living expenses. There's a couple drop downs here. We want to change our living expenses. Now this is a sample client, so it's based upon what I pulled from eMoney is 2.27, which is the consumer price index. We're going to actually put this as custom 3.5%, because that's what normally our clients would say, always 3.5% on here. If we were building out this client, I wasn't using a sample client. We always go with a 15% increase. Just for simple math, I'm going to put 115,000. Now that's way, way more than 15%, but I just rounded up to 100,000 and multiplied it by 1.15 in my head, just to make this simple for this scenario. But I usually do round this up and I get it close to 15%. That's what we do standard on our team. Obviously, if a client, we think they're low and expenses will go higher, there's a lot of other factors, but our team, this is always our default is 1.15% or 15% increase. And that's really going to show a major, major impact of inflation. And not just the impact of inflation, but missing out expenses. We find so many times people don't amortize out maintenance on their house and other things. We try to work with them the best we can. We try to get detailed expenses, but hey, we can't always get that for every client. And the last thing we want to do in our base model, so we have the 3 of the 4, is we're going to do premature death. And this is really what throws everyone off. I did another eMoney tip of the week all on this, so you can go back and reference that. I'm just going to show you quickly. We're going to go to make changes. We're going to go to assumption, retirement, and death. While we're under here, we're going to change the age. So Pamela is 41. We don't like to kill somebody off the year that they're reviewing us. It has psychological damage sometimes to people. So we're just going to go here, assumed age of death. We're going to add 5 years, so we would put 46 for her. You can only do one person at a time. Again, this is more detailed in another eMoney video. We're going to hit done. We're going to go ahead and we're going to rename these just to make them so that when a client sees them and when we see them, we know what they are. So make recommended asset allocation we're going to keep here. We're going to put right here major market downturn. You can call us whatever you want. That's just what we learned. It works for us. Retirement, death assumption, we're going to put premature death, Pam. And then increased living expenses. As you can tell, I'm not a good typer. So now we're going to hit done, and now those are all in there. Again, you can go reference my other eMoney tip of the week. Why I did Pam first. What you want to do is you want to duplicate this. But for the sake of the time of this eMoney tip of the week, we're just going to go right into the planning. I also have eMoney tip of the week of how we do our presentation decision center. But I want you just to see this really quickly. And again, you can go back and reference this in one of the other ones. We're going to go to Monte Carlo, and we're going to go down here to Monte Carlo summary. And we can see this base plan at their 88. If we go to alternative ones, we're going to turn these all off. By the way, you can do that inside advanced plan as well too. It's going to still stay at 88. And now you can quickly illustrate what if you made the recommended asset allocation change we told you, Mr. and Mrs. Client. Here's what it could impact you over the long haul of your portfolio. What if there was a major market downturn? What's going to be the impact? We hope this tip helped educate and empower you to do more plans for your clients so that you can impact more lives through financial planning. If you have some great tips we don't know about, we'd love to hear about them. If you have a better way of doing what we just showed you, we'd love to hear about that, because we are a noble profession, and together we can elevate the profession.